Hey there guys, it's Nosoa. Today I wanted to talk about finishes and for me the last step of doing a finish, which is rubbing it out. This is my latest project that I rubbed out a finish on, and I use a pretty dang cheap, simple method that really gives great results. You know, I went for the high gloss look, and some people, use automotive car polishes or their Festool sander with like 5 different pads to get the effect. But today I'm going to show something that's really simple and gives great results. So maybe you can learn something from me, or maybe I can learn something from you. So feel free to follow along and I'll let you know how it goes. Yeah, so this is my last project, Mahogany TV credenza, and I finished this with 3 coats of high gloss polyurethane. I'd always recommend when you want to build coats to use a high gloss urethane, no matter what the finish you want for the last bit, even if it's a matte finish, because finishes, that are matte or satin, they don't have the same clarity that a gloss finish might have. And when you're loading up, 3, 4, 5 coats even of a matte finish on a bare wood, you won't have the clarity of something of a high gloss might have. So when doing a finish, I'd always recommend using your last coat that you want, to do your last coat of matte or satin, or even still use high gloss and just finish it sanding with something else, to get the look you want. Whether satin, you might want to use steel wool or something like that. But here's my test piece. I put 4 coats of a high gloss polyurethane on this scrap piece of mahogany I have. Pretty big piece of mahogany. I think it's about 15 inches wide. But I haven't prepared the surface or anything like that. You can still see it's pretty bumpy. And I'm going to take you through the steps that I use to get a really nice finish. Sorry about the messy shop. I really got to sweep up in here. Maybe on my next day off from work. But, so let's just assume that you just put on the last coat of finish, sanding between each coat, which is especially important with polyurethane. Polyurethane just has a poor adhesion property because it's very non-porous towards other finishes. So by scratching it minutely with 220 grit, you're able to get it to stick to itself. But even then, sanding between coats, you'll get little nibs, kind of like what you can see with my finger here. So what we're going to do is we're going to sand this, but we're going to do it with a wet sanding style. So I'll lay out what I like to use in succession here. So what I like to use first is a 320 grit wet sanding pad. This one's already used, but it still has plenty of life in it. A 4/0 steel wool. That really takes out the scratches of the 320 and kind of gives a satin luster to it. And then I finish up with the 4F Pumice here. It's one of the finest grades you can get. They might make a finer one. I haven't really found it. And then we're going to be using a cloth as well to charge it. And we're going to hold all of our material here using just a sanding block, which is just a scrap of wood that I have lying around. So without further ado, we're going to take our soapy water. It's just water and dish soap, like from Dawn. And I kind of like initially just dipping my fingers in the water here, kind of just spraying it on the surface. You don't necessarily want a ton of water, but you want something which is going to lubricate this process. And it's actually going to cut the cutting action of the sanding paper down as well, which is actually a good thing on this step, because you want to be patient and you don't want to burn through all of our finish that we spent so long putting on. Let me just make sure this is clamped good in my workbench. It is. So another thing I see with people sanding is they're impatient, you know, with what they're doing. So, and they're uneven. So you need to be very even in this process. As you go down and up and down and up. You can follow the grain, which is what I'd recommend doing, and just keep this up. So this is a grit I'm probably going to spend the least amount of time on, because what I'm trying to do here is just cut the nibs off. That's all I want. I just want to achieve a smooth surface without overdoing it. Now some people can leave a finish with just 320 grit, and it'll leave probably like around a matte finish or so. The fewer and more minute the scratches are from our process here, the higher the gloss look we'll have. So I'm gonna go and finish up with this, and just feel free to keep adding water. You know, keep cutting, and then also run your hands through the work. You know, I feel it's already really smooth, so I'm just gonna run it through one more time. Kind of get everything that I might have missed. I might have think I've missed. So. You can also see this milky kind of white paste that I'm bringing up, and that's actually the finish. So I'm gonna call that done here. You can see the sanding block picked up that white milky stuff too, and I'm actually gonna get a towel and wipe it off, and we're gonna go to the next grit here, or should I say the steel wool now. So be right back. I'm just gonna clean this off real good. Hey guys, so I went ahead and cleaned the surface off. You can see the finish still has some really good clarity to it. It's, you know, maybe a matte finish, not very shiny, but what we're gonna do next is go ahead and take our steel wool, kind of stretch it out over the block here. We're just gonna go ahead and just dip it in the soapy water here, and we're just gonna continue our buffing process. This one, I kind of like it a little bit more soapy, just as we work through and into the grain here. And we're really just going, you know, as long as we think it needs to go for. What we're trying to do with the steel wool here is take out the scratches from our other piece, you know, from our sandpaper. So you see it's building up a nice little, you know, soapy sheen to it, and that's good because we want it to cut the finish. And here, you know, I'm even going sideways even. That's okay. Some people like to go in circles. Just as long as we're thorough in our coverage here of what we're doing. Don't be afraid to get some elbow grease in there either. Okay guys, I'm going to stop for now with that, and have a towel here from the house. Don't tell the girlfriend. I'm going to clean this off with my hand over, it might be a few little extra residue from that, so kind of like going one more step and just rubbing everything off one more time. Alright, so here the next step is to go for the pumice, or pumice as you say it. So this is just an old cloth I had lying around. Any cloth will do pretty much. And what the cloth is going to do is just going to hold the pumice while we work with it. So I'm just going to drape this over the sanding block, and I'm just going to, sprinkle more water on the surface here. Fuck it, I might actually just dump it on there. Alright, so I have some water on there, and I'm just going to sprinkle it, with French polishing or pour filling. You don't really want to use that much, but rubbing out a finish, I've noticed that a little bit more helps out with the cutting action of what we're doing here. So go ahead and just do it like that, and I kind of just like tapping the block just to get the whole thing charged. This is already charged before from a previous project, and we're just going to really concentrate on being even with what we're doing. And just feel the wood, feel the finish. If you feel it's dragging a little bit, feel free to add some more water. You can't hurt the wood or the finish at this point with water, so feel free to keep adding more until you get a nice cutting, smooth cutting action. That's what I'm feeling. Sorry, it's kind of shaky. Maybe I should use a tripod next time, but here's where we're going to go with this. So I'm going to check back in with you in a few minutes. I'm just going to work this real good, so I'll be right back. Alright guys, so here's how it looks with just wiping it off with the towel here, just to get all the pumice off. It kind of makes like a mud look to it, on the old surface, so we want to get that off. Right now it's smooth as baby skin. There's amazing clarity in the grain here. Just wow. But we're going to take that one step further here. We're just going to rub it down one more time. This is also just a little wet. See how it just comes alive when it's nice and cleaned properly. That's pretty much it, guys, to my little short tutorial on how to rub out a good finish on wood. It's not too difficult to do. And I'd say it's a pretty cheap method to do. You don't have to spend tons of money on polishes or automotive polishes for your woodworking. It can just be done with a little bit of elbow grease, and I think it gives pretty darn nice results. And at the very least, it's very smooth to the touch, and that's another thing people notice, or the first thing they do when they touch my furniture is they go and feel it. So I'd be embarrassed if there were any dust nibs or the finish wasn't smooth. And this really takes care of that for me. It really leaves a nice finish. So thanks for looking, guys. Maybe you learned something from me. Maybe maybe not, maybe you can teach me something, but I just thought I'd share and just let you know my method on how to achieve a nice smooth finish with some pretty good clarity to it, depth of grain, and we'll make a nice last durable finish. So thanks for looking, guys. Take care.